Meanwhile, tonight, President Obama, finally, 65 days late, has put forward his 2014 budget proposal. Now, in a moment, I'll be joined by the House GOP whip, Congressman Kevin McCarthy. But first, let me give you the details of this budget. Earlier today, President Obama unveiled his $3.8 trillion plan, immediately proving once again he has no intention of ever getting Washington's fiscal house in order. Instead, he's willing to reach deeper into the pockets of you, the hardworking taxpayers of this country. Watch this.
Despite all the noise in Washington, here's a clear and unassailable fact. Our deficits are already falling. Over the past 2 years, I've signed legislation that will reduce our deficits by more than $2.5 trillion, more than two-thirds of it through spending cuts, and the rest through asking the wealthiest Americans to begin paying their fair share. That doesn't mean we don't have more work to do, but here's how we finish the job. My budget will reduce our deficits by nearly another $2 trillion, so that all told, we will have surpassed the goal of $4 trillion in deficit reduction that independent economists believe we need to stabilize our finances.
He's using one of those Washington calculators once again. Where does he come up with these numbers? And by the way, did you notice fair share again and again and again? Now, his plan includes nothing more but spending and taxing. Now, Republicans on the Budget Committee, they crunched the numbers. The figures they came up with were downright scary. Over the next 10 years, under Obama's proposed budget, over $8.2 trillion will be added in new debt. The opposite of what the president's saying. But that's not all. Obama's plan also would take more money from hardworking Americans, specifically more than $1.1 trillion in brand new taxes. Now, the administration already has big plans on how they want to spend the extra money, because the disastrous budget proposes $964 billion in new spending. You'll never learn. Joining me now with reaction to all of this, House Majority Whip, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy. His last two budgets, he couldn't even get a single Democrat congressman to vote for it. So we got $1.1 trillion in new taxes. He just got 2 tax increases in January, and we have $964 billion in new spending. Seriously, that's his budget.
That is his budget. What's even worse, Sean, is his budget never balances. Yep. When people do a budget in their own household, they do a budget so it balances, so they get out of debt. He just adds to the debt more, takes more taxes out of the economy from hardworking taxpayers, just so he can continue the spending spree. He never fixes the problem.
Yeah, he said about George Bush that George Bush was irresponsible and unpatriotic. This is when the debt was $9 trillion. Taking a credit card to the Bank of China in the name of our kids and our grandkids and ringing up all this debt. Now we got $16 trillion, over $6 trillion more of new Obama debt, and now he's going to add $8.2 trillion by his own estimate. I mean, where does he think this is going to end?
Well, this is the real difference between the president's budget and the House Republicans. The House Republicans' budget will balance in 10 years. So we'll stop borrowing. At the end of 10 years, just the debt of what we're going to pay every year will be more than $700 billion. That's what you're going to be paying. And that's absurd. How can you ever solve a problem? How can you invest in the future? How can you have an economy that will grow? He grows government by more than 5%.
We got to deal with another issue here. And you know what? Somebody's got to say it. I guess I will. Because not only is this delusional on the part of the president, he showed great arrogance, and he's the only one that's fair and balanced in his own thinking and his own mind here, but he's also full of crap. I mean, can we just lay this on the table? Sorry to say it, Congressman. You didn't. I did. But wait a minute. He says, I reduced the deficit $2.5 trillion. That is total garbage. He's lying to the American people, because they are not cutting spending. They're not cutting back on deficits. He's given us record deficits. How does he, with a straight face, tell this garbage to the American people?